How you doing today, folks? Now, first off, apparently my wall's making some of y'all sick because it hurts your eyes. My beautiful, beautiful wall. So I'm going to unbox this real quick on this piece, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the table view because I ain't trying to cut myself. Also, today's EDC is the CKF Macad Loro, which is customized by my buddy etched on Instagram. Big shout out to all this crazy innovation work. Let's get it. You also sharpen this thing so it's an absolute laser beam. But we are open, so let's see what we got. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to do a nice, healthy, deep dive into this knife. Now, first off, you can see these tiny little grooves here and there, little bits of texturing, this really crazy, immaculate attention to detail. And that translates onto the actual standoffs themselves, which, again, do not match these scales, but they match the hardware. They match the actual blade stop. They match the blade itself. All right, so this to me is a small knife. Now, in the forums, it's mentioned commonly this is a big knife. The design is very centric about width. And honestly, while this might be kind of a chunker in your pocket, for me personally, it's also kind of a chunker in hand, despite the fact that it is a smaller knife. And that fits my size 2XL hands honestly almost perfect. The transition from the actual finger choil into this piece right here is a little too sharp, so it's not perfect. There's also a very minor hot spot right here. To be very clear, in this Sean Campbell modified version of it, it's much more lessened than what it is on the actual standard model. Normally this is an absolute massive hot spot. Now it's a very slight one, but it is still there, though it is massively improved. As far as the actual carry, I did carry this knife a little bit off camera just now to get a real kind of a solid feel to it. And this clip, man, this clip, which does not seem like it would have the best retention, just seems very basic. It does slide out, again, perfectly with just a little bit of resistance, which is exactly what you want for this. And this clip really, really surprised me. Again, even though it's sort of basic, it just works in a really fantastic way. And also, this thing is an absolute dream to carry. Again, it is a pretty wide knife, so it is a pretty, hefty piece in your pocket. But for what it is, man, I was immediately really, really impressed. Now, these knives are cut by Medford Knife and Tool, designed by Strider. And this one, again, is modified beautifully by Sean Campbell. The crazy wood texturing calls it his Angry Groot finish. The beautiful acid wash on the blade, which has these perfect peaks and valleys with a little bit of satiny popping through, which again just adds to the overall beautiful appeal of this knife, to where everything just contrasts absolutely perfectly. And it's just, again, an absolutely beautiful knife, at least in my opinion. As far as the action, this thing rolls out absolutely beautifully. With a little bit of wrist, you can flick it out. Not my style, though. Same thing, Spidey flicks, a little bit of wrist, you can flick it out. But for me, this knife really hits home when you just roll it out and you, again, feel that beautiful machining, those tight tolerances, and that absolutely buttery smooth until that nice, tight, loud lockup that just really, for me personally, just fits beautifully. Just listen to that. I love that noise, that security, that moment that hits home, which you're like, okay, this is a good knife. And I cannot stress that enough, folks. This is a good knife. Love it. Now, as far as that lockup, we have a beautiful early lockup, nice and secure and ready for work. Also, on a completely unrelated note, you can see through the pivot. and I love that. I don't know why it makes me so happy, but I love that. One thing about this knife that had me concerned though is Medford loves to have the lock face exposed. And again, this is cut by Medford Knife and Tool. But on this one, that's not the case. They made the smart decision to have the scales roll over, which again creates a beautiful, fantastic, symmetrical piece that I love. The most amazing thing about the Strider .7 AR is the fact that it has the same in-hand feel as these bigger knives, despite its relatively small stature. And that really is a testament to the design of Mick Strider, that this knife can fit so many roles from tactical to the general everyday use and carry that we all so love. Now, as far as the weight, we are at 6.9 ounces. Now, that might seem heavy to some people, and I assure you it kind of is, but for this knife, it really needs to have that heft, to have that perfect in-hand feel to where everything just fits and sits perfectly. So I encourage you, if you do like lighter knives, to give this one a try anyways. It really does just work. Because there is a saying, jack of all trades, master of none, that the Strider .7 AR proves to be inaccurate. Because this knife somehow manages to fit every single role, from hard use to tactical to EDC, from big knife enthusiasts to small knife enthusiasts. And again, I don't know how. It really is a crazy, crazy thing that a knife can do that. Now, I'm a huge fan of knives, as everybody on this channel knows. I have things ranging from $50 to $5,000, and they're all beautiful in their own unique ways, but none of them do what this knife does, which is, again, blend everything. If you like small knives, you will like this knife. If you like bigger knives, you will like this knife. If you like show pieces or you like workhorses, either way, you will like this knife. Now, personally, I love it. You might not love it, but I want to be very clear, folks. To be able to love something or to like something is an intensely personal experience and choice. So what I feel, you might not feel. But again, I guarantee you, you will like this knife. Now, the actual original Strider AR, the production models and everything else, again, they are a little bit more of a hot spot. Right here needs to be chamfered. This will poke into your hand. Right here needs to be rounded a little bit more. This will poke into your hand. But these are relatively small things for a knife that is overall phenomenal. And again, can fit so many different roles, which honestly to me makes no sense that it can do that. And the more I handled this knife over this last day and a half of first impressions, the more I was just really impressed by it. The more I was just really honestly blown away. Now, is this knife perfect? No, but it's really close, and again, it's really close in all categories I can think of, which in of itself makes it extraordinary. Normally, I give knives a 1 through 10 rating for a first impression, but on this one, I can't do that. Again, this knife fits so many different categories that I'm not going to give it a 1 through 10 rating. I'm just going to tell you that everybody should go out and experience this knife. It defies any rating system that I can really think of because, again, while it's not perfect, it's close, but it's close in every regard, which in my opinion is beyond just a 10. It is this absolute unicorn that, honestly, I am just really and truly blown away with. So what I'll end with is this. Would I recommend the Strider Knives AR? Absolutely. The .7 AR is a fantastic knife, whether you like Strider designs or like Mick Strider himself or like Greg Medford who cut the parts himself. I recommend everybody to work through their biases and actually try this knife. And again, if this little piece right here is too sharp for you, send it over to my boy Sean Campbell and he will make something absolutely incredible, custom, one-off, just for you. This knife is an amalgamation between a prolific maker and an absolutely phenomenal person brought to me by honestly, a friend. A very tense friendship, but a friend nonetheless. And I really am just genuinely blown away and happy to have this knife in hand. And this is going to be one of those things that I never sell. And if I do, it'll be to a friend who I think will really enjoy it and really respect it, because this knife speaks to me in a way that honestly no knife ever has. Now, as always, folks, I want to take a moment to say I love you all. I appreciate you all. The world is a crazy place right now, so please take a deep breath and find a way to love each other. Things are crazy. Things will not get better anytime soon. But again, what we choose to do as individuals, as people, does not define our government, does not define our place in the world. It defines who we are, again, as individuals. We are solely responsible for our own actions. Nobody can make us do evil. Nobody can make us do good. We have to actively choose that path. So I encourage everybody to do good. I encourage everybody to love each other, to look past differences, and to find ways to find commonality and common ground. And again, to love one another. You don't have to agree with somebody to love them. So again, disagree, but love each other. As always, folks, I love you all with all of my heart. I appreciate you all. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for giving me your time. It means the absolute world to me. Take care, folks. Be safe, and bye.